Well, he thought he'd get out of it by having an odd-numbered episode the week he's not here, so he doesn't have to do an introduction. But that just means my new co-host, Mr. Tim Oberg, is going to have to do it. Tim, introduce everyone to the episode.
Well, Mel, it is a thrill to be here. First time as co-host on the Parkrun Adventurers, and we're here for episode 135, and we are going to be reflecting on what has, of course, been a typically stellar 7 days in the life of all parkrun adventuring in Australia.
Wow, I think Scotty just lost his job. That's possibly the best intro we've ever had on the podcast.
Well, I'm here to bring it. It's going to be a good hour or so. So let's rip into it.
Cool. Well, what did you get up to on Parkrun Day last weekend?
Well, Mel, as is typical for me these days, Parkrun Day is no longer about me, but it's a family day, and I was pushing the double pram around Airlie Beach Parkrun with my almost 5-year-old daughter on the right-hand side of the pram, which is also known as the high-fiving side of the pram, and then Archie, who is 18 months, on the left-hand side of the pram. So I probably had about near enough to 40 kilograms of weight that I was pushing around the Airlie Beach Parkrun course. On my right, and sometimes in front of me, sometimes behind me, but always at arm's distance, was 6-year-old Jack Oberg, and my wife Nikki was there and thereabouts as well. And so, yeah, big family affair, and as has been the case often lately, Jack obliterated his PB. He brought his PB down from 30 minutes something or other to 28:35. I couldn't believe it.
Wowzers.
He knocked 2 minutes off his PB, and it's getting pretty hot up here now too. But basically, he's got in with a couple of kids who are a little bit older than him and a little bit faster than him. So he has just been hunting them around the course. And they're basically towing him to uncharted territory. So yeah, Parkrun Day was pretty amazing for me, and then Jack followed that up with an 8:03 junior parkrun on the Sunday for 2 kilometres. So he's loving his running, which is great to see.
8:03, that's a blistering time. I can't remember the last time I ran an 8:03 for 1 kilometre, let alone 2.
Look again. It's the same kids. So there's about 3 or 4 kids who are faster than him, and he just has the determination. He follows them around, and really is enjoying it. So we never sort of force the kids to get up and do junior parkrun or do parkrun. Jack's doing it because he wants to do it, and yeah, he's just loving it.
That's so much fun. I do love as well that you've got a high five side of the pram. Did Evie choose it in particular? Does Archie understand the concept of high fives yet?
Archie gives out a high five, but not really a high-speed high five, because that's really what you're dealing with at junior parkrun, at parkrun is the prams going around, and there's a lot of high-fiving happens on the Airlie Beach course. It's a sort of 2-lap out and back. So there's a lot of high-five opportunities, which is great. I always tactically put, the child who's most likely to give high fives, I put on the right. And so prior to Archie coming along and prior to Jack running, Jack would have been on the right because he's the more sort of boisterous, outgoing kid and, hangs out of the pram giving high fives. Evie's a bit more timid. But she'll still give high fives when she sees someone she knows. So whereas Jack would high five anybody. So yeah, because obviously we keep left at parkrun, so that makes the right hand side of the pram the high five side. Everyone knows that now.
That is so cute. I didn't realise that there was one side or the other. Yep. I'll have to educate Wes accordingly.
Very good. And now, what about yourself? What did you get up to?
I had a similar family-themed weekend, although Adam was out on the course marshalling, so he volunteered. I pointed out to him that he's been somewhat lacking in the volunteer count this year, which, he does a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff to help me out. So it's a lot of uncredited stuff. But I thought it might be nice for him to do something on the weekend, and so he agreed and popped his hand up to Marshall. But that meant that I had Wes in the pram, and it's been a long time since I've actually run the Kiwana parkrun course. I've been away from home on adventures, and pushing, well, you've got 40 kilos worth. I've got, between the weight of the pram and Wes, about 20 kilos. So half of what you've got to deal with. We've got a little bit more elevation I would warrant than Airlie Beach at Kiwana. But yeah, I actually ended up with a bit of a sore back by the end. And that's with me stopping at about the 4 kilometre mark, where we passed Adam as a marshal for the second time on the way back. And Wesley, he was starting to crack it, I'll be honest. I don't go as fast as Adam, and he does that little thing in the pram where he sort of pushes his body forward, as in like, let's go faster, let's go faster.
Yes,
and my speed just wasn't cutting it for him. So when we came up to Adam again, I thought, maybe you can just take him home. And like, he had the car, so he had to drive back. So he popped Wes in the car. But I completely forgot, and I did a Strava fail. I had put my phone, which is what I record my activities on Strava on. I don't use a GPS watch, you may not be aware. It was just sitting in the hood on the back of the pram, and I completely forgot about it. So the last kilometre got recorded in our car, and I got four segment trophies for my speed over that little section of the course. And thanks to a couple of parkrun adventurers who helped me out with Strava during the week, they explained how I was able to cut out the false part of the section that I didn't actually run or walk. So it's the whole activity is not going to get flagged as a dodgy one on Strava, but it did cut it short.
We've all hopped in the car without stopping the watch. So I've gone on there and edited a few Strava results in my time to do such things as well. So yeah, I'm sure you're not alone.
Ironically, it was part of my sloth challenge, which I've talked about in the podcast in previous weeks, which is a virtual run that you're supposed to see how far you can go in 1 hour. And while I did do more than the hour, and I did about 6K, it's the last little section of it wasn't really recorded. So, but sloth challenge completed. So even with the Strava fail, my medal's on the way in the post.
Oh, very good. Hey, just getting back to Wes. Now, look, I've met him a few times. He's got some chubby cheeks on him.
He does.
I would have thought that when he's cracking it at parkrun, you could just give him a bit of food, wouldn't you? That'd satisfy him.
Well, no, because it's not a hunger thing. He has his breakfast before he goes, and if he's in the pram, he either needs to be going a certain speed or he needs to be heading toward a park with a swing in it. And right. if he cannot see either of those things, then yeah. But to be honest, he doesn't often crack it in the pram. We'll go for a walk every single day, and he loves it. So I literally think he was just not really impressed with the pace at this particular point. Probably because he's familiar with the parkrun course and he knows how it works, and he knows there's a little park at the end that he gets to have a swing in once he's done. Mm-hmm. So yeah, looking at it from such a slow vantage point, I guess, was not really going to cut it. I did try him on some food, and he wasn't interested.
Oh, well, yeah. No, we've got a little downhill on the Airlie Beach course, and when I say little, I mean it's probably like 4 meters of downhill. But Archie always lets out a little bit of a whoop when he goes down it, because it's the pace just picks up just with that small amount, and he loves it. So I think I can appreciate what you're saying with Wes wanting a bit of speed.
Yes, well, I guess he takes after everyone who just really wants to go just that bit faster, doesn't he?
Well, he has the need. Need.
I'm just waiting. Obviously, we haven't got there yet. He is walking now, but only has been for a couple of months. I'm just waiting for the part where he wants to get out and walk, and then everything comes to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
He's
almost 5, and she's still very happy to sit in the pram at parkrun. So,
well, she is a clever cookie, I think.
Yeah, she's obviously been out of the pram for Well, she started walking at about 14 months, so she's been out of the pram for 4 years almost. But at parkrun, she's happy to get in it because she just likes spectating. So there you go. Our guest today is parkrunner A2751791, also known as Intern Pete, also known as Peter Deppler. Pete, welcome to the Parkrun Adventurers podcast.
Guys, thanks so much for having me on this very exciting podcast. And firstly, congratulations on the podcast, by the way. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, Pete, that obviously coming from you, mate. You are a producer at KIIS 106.5 on the Kyle and Jackie O show in Sydney, which is obviously one of the top shows top breakfast shows in Sydney. So that's great, a great compliment coming from you, Pete. Thanks very much.
No, my absolute pleasure. But I'm super excited to be on here. It's good to get in and talk a little bit of running, which is something that's kind of taken over my life over the last little while.
Now I'm going to jump in here, Pete, because I know that the way you and Tim first got introduced is sort of a big mashup between parkrun and radio. Can you give us a little bit of a recap for that for our listeners?
Yeah. It was actually a bit of a funny story. Actually, I had been parkrunning for a little while, and I really enjoyed sort of bringing people along. So, and I was talking every weekend when I do a parkrun. I don't believe you did a park run unless you Instagram about it. So I'm one of those people that is always Instagramming about my weekly park run. And a lot of my work colleagues were like, what's this? Some people found it annoying because I was posting so much about it. Other people were loving it, all that sort of stuff. And how it actually happened was Bo Ryan, NRL player from Sydney, was talking about it because there was a bit of confusion because when Bo Ryan started working at KIIS, I had texted him and it was actually an invite to one of Kyle Sandiland's parties. And what happened there was Bo mistakenly thought that Kyle had texted him. So for about 2 months or so, Bo was texting me thinking he was texting Kyle. And he was like, hey, do you want to catch up? Maybe we do lunch. And I hadn't clicked either, by the way, that Bo was thinking he was talking to Kyle. And there was one Saturday morning, he was like, hey, we're going to be out and about. Do you guys want to come down? It's Kara's birthday. I was like, oh, hey, mate, I can't make it. I've got a park run. And Bo Ryan was like, okay, he's got a park run. Maybe he's just doing something dodgy or something. I don't know what this park run thing is. And it actually came to fruition, which I think we put on the park run website and the KIIS accounts. Basically, we clicked one day when I rang Bo and it was me on the other end of the phone. I'm hoping this makes sense to you both because it was actually one of those crazy things that went on for a couple of months. And we started talking about park runs on the radio show, and we put the video up, and then it ended up on the going a little bit viral on your pages as well. It was like we were educating the KIIS listeners on what this amazing park run thing is all about, and that's where I think you might have spotted it. I think first, is that right, Tim?
Yeah, that's it. Well, you shared it with us. You shared it with the Parkrun Australia page, or you emailed us or something. I can't remember what it was, but from there it just had a bit of a life of its own for a couple of weeks. We were sharing it. You guys were talking about it. Bo was threatening to come to Parkrun. I don't think he's followed through though, has he?
No, he hasn't. Do you know what? I've kept on his tails as much as I can about this one because he did commit to it. He said he wanted to do one down near the Shire in Sydney. So definitely on his case about it. He has brought it up a couple of times. Well, when are we doing a park run, brother? And I'm like, you let me know, mate. We'll be there because I'm there every Saturday morning with my little barcode that I print out. So yeah, he'll definitely be on the cards, and we'll definitely let everyone know as well because he loves a selfie with fans as well.
I bet he does. Now, Pete, I want to take you back to where it all began, and I don't talk about where parkrun began, but actually where you grew up, and you grew up in Timboon in Western Victoria. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I grew up, it's about 20 minutes from Timboon, a little town called Simpson. I grew up on a dairy farm. My parents both farmers, their parents farmers, milking cows, all that sort of stuff. My mum is one of 14. So we have a huge family Christmas, around 80 people. Everyone has their different jobs. 3 people bring the ham, 3 people bring the chicken. My uncle owns a cordial company, so he brings the slushy machine for the kids. Everyone had everything a job. And a lot of that family, funnily enough, I didn't really get the athlete side of things, but a lot of the 14 kids are actually running background. They were kids that their hobby growing up was running. And a lot of them ran, and I think our greatest sort of success story was my Auntie Jane, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore. She was a beautiful woman who ran regularly at the Stall Gift. Wow. She had a beautiful run at the MCG on Boxing Day in the early 90s and beat Kathy Freeman. She was a really inspiring woman, and as I said, unfortunately no longer with us, but there was always a bit of running in the family, and it wasn't necessarily about winning everything or anything like that. It was actually just about knowing how great and fun running really is. And so growing up, there was, in a small country town, I think we had, AFL footy and running. And I never a great runner myself. I used to get told I run a little bit like a sissy because I'd be flapping my arms around or whatever. But I enjoyed it. So Simpson is about 20 minutes from Timboon. Beautiful along the 12, not far away from the 12 Apostles, the Great Ocean Road. Over the last couple, it's a beautiful area if anyone gets a chance to go down, because it's also an area that's predominantly dairy farming, but the Great Ocean Road for years has been a beautiful spot to see the 12 Apostles and the London Bridge and the Bay of Islands and stuff. But what's happened is a lot of the farmers started to realise creating local produce is, such a great thing. So where my parents live, they live next door to a cheese factory, followed by a chocolate factory, followed by a cider factory, followed by another cheese factory, a strawberry farm, a snail farm, and all these beautiful food trails. So it's sort of turned into a really amazing food trail area down that area.
Well, and not to forget Timboon Parkrun, of course, which is 74 events in. And what I loved when I was looking at Timboon Parkrun earlier is the address is the corner of Bailey Street and Snake Track Road. So
Yeah, this. You know what? The Timboon Park Run is a lot of history for pretty much anyone who grew up in the area as well, because it was actually the cross country track that we did in high school. That was the snake track down there, which is not like, look, let's be honest, it's called the snake track, but there's not many snakes. You might be lucky enough to spot one, but it's not as dangerous as it sounds. But you get a great opportunity to, if you ever get to do that one, I really recommend it. You go and do the park run, then go and see the 12 Apostles. That's an absolute must with that one, because you can also go into. They turned the old train station into a distillery as well, so they're making whiskey down there. So if you want to wait till later in the day, you can really have a great day on the Timboon Park Run. And most likely you'll definitely see 1 or 2 koalas down there if the weather's nice enough. They're usually hanging from the trees over that park run. It's a really, really beautiful spot, and it's nice when I get home because I've got such a large family as well. I'll be like, oh, there's my cousin, there's my auntie, there's always someone down there I know, and there's a really good team of volunteers down there as well that have really doing really good things in Timboon in the area.
Sounds like a fabulous place. People could go down on a Friday and get the whiskey in and then run it off the next morning at Timboon Park Run. There's also another way they could approach it.
Absolutely.
Now, Pete, it is where you grew up, but it's not actually your home parkrun. Your parkrun story starts in New South Wales at St. Peter's Parkrun. Can you give us a little bit of an insight how you got involved or how you heard about parkrun in the first place?
Oh, yeah. It was actually a couple of my aunties, Jacinta and Bridgie and Philippa. They're three sisters who live in Melbourne. And I think it was back in 2016, I think, when I did my first one. And sorry, just before that, I just sort of started to get into running a little bit, just to, get the body moving, all that sort of stuff going. Oh God, I'm getting a little older now. It's time to do something a little bit healthy. And they actually told me about it. They're like, hey, you should do this thing called park runs. And I was like, what's a park run? And they explained it to me. It's a 5K run. They do it at the Maribyrnong one, I think it is, in Melbourne. And they just loved it. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, what do you do? And they're like, well, you print out your barcode, you head along, you run, it's free. And I was like, hey, that sounds really cool. And then so I basically quickly Googled when I got back to Sydney the best, or the closest one to where I live in the inner west of Sydney, and St. Peter's was like 12 minutes away from my house. I was like, I'll go along and check it out. And I ran. Tim, you might be, I can't remember what my first time was, but hey, it was a little bit of a struggle for me, but I absolutely had a ball doing it. Do you remember what it was, Tim?
Yeah. So your parkrun debut, 3rd of September 2016, 36:06 at St. Peter's.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
do you know when your second one was, Pete?
Oh, what was it?
All right. Just so we'll tell you your parkrun history, mate. So you did St. Peter's on the 3rd of September, and then as you say, had a great day. 2 weeks later, you backed it up. You were in Canberra and you went to Ginninderra parkrun, and you took 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes off your time. You did 31:43. So you would look at this and you would think, this guy's on a roll here. He's hooked. And do you know what happened then?
What happened?
He had 2 years off.
All right, okay. Hear me out. Do you know what happened? I'll explain myself. The Canberra one, you've just reminded me. So I ran that run, if that makes sense, with a very good friend who I hadn't seen for a while. Now, he's a police officer in the Special Forces something or other Canberra, and lives and breathes for running, and pushed me so hard in that 5 minutes, and I think he almost killed my there was nothing left out after me after that, and I think I went back to burger and chips pretty quickly. So yes, I did have a break for a couple of years, but I have returned. I think I'm having a crack now.
You are. I mean, so Pete, you're back with a vengeance. So your next park run, so you went from September 2016, and then your next park run was 21st of April this year, 2018. You came back with a 35:35. But something's happened to you since then. You just said it yourself. You're giving it a good crack. Now, I want you to tell me what's been going on since the 21st of April, because on the 21st of July, my friend, you ran 22:55. So we're talking a 13-minute improvement between April and July. So what is going on in your life?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that have kind of happened, and I think it's when I turned 35 in March, or 34. I can't remember how old I am. Basically, I'm like, oh, we're getting to the closer part of 40 anyway. So, there's times, and I think it was there's a really good guy in my life now, and that's actually my trainer. I've never been great at sort of self-motivation of sport myself, really. So there's a guy that approached me, name's Richard Kerrigan. He runs a personal training business, a healthier lifestyle. He used to be called RK The Beach Life, but he used to be a chef and a butler at Buckingham Palace, and he came into the radio show. And it was a couple of months later, he sort of hit me up. He's like, hey, well, would you be interested in training? And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to roll with it. Let's see where it goes, not thinking too much of it. And he said to me, what do you think you would do outside of the training? I said, look, I used to do these like park runs, and I thought they were really good. And I thought that was a great way, because I didn't have to overthink, the how many weights I was doing, or all that sort of stuff. It was, I'd just rock up, do a stretch, and go for a run. And so he's training me. Absolutely, part of my life is Saturday morning park run, like without a doubt. So, and I've said to him, I said, I do not want to lose that. You might give me instructions on doing this, and this, but I'm definitely not going to lose the park run, which he totally agreed. He's joined me on a few of them as well, and I think my PB time, I think you might have said, was 22. He was with me on that one, so I think I'm due for another visit with my trainer at the moment to push me a little bit further, because I've I train sort of the best I can during the week, and the park run, look, in all honesty, is more than just a run for me, or keeping fit and healthy. I honestly treat it like it's this Saturday morning. I get up And as soon as I start the park run, I'm washing away all the bad stuff that happened that week. Like it's all literally washing out of me. All the crap meetings that I was in, all the things that I did wrong in my job. Maybe I had too many beers at that corporate dinner during the week. I'm literally washing it away up until I get, I reckon, to that 2.5K mark. And then I sort of twist it, and then I'm getting ready for the week ahead. Like that's what my mind frame is. And I know there's been a lot written about what mental health does for running. And I'll tell you, I've dropped nearly 16 kilos since April, but and that has been so rewarding. But what it has done for my mental health, I swear to God, I've made smarter decisions in life, and I can honestly thank Parkrun for that, and obviously training with Rich as well. But yeah, this is what my Saturday park run is about, is washing the week away that was and getting started for the week that's about to come as well.
That is a fantastic perspective, Pete. I had never really thought about it that way before. We always say that, it's the best way to start your weekend, but the idea that it's a fabulous way to renew yourself after a week, like to finish off a week almost. That's very cool.
Yeah. And the other thing with that is I find that, look, we all go run into weekends that can be, busy, boozy, going out for a bit of bad food. I just think if I've done the park run and it all goes a little bit haywire on a Saturday night, I go, at least I did a park run on Saturday morning, so it's okay to have the extra chips with the burger that I shouldn't have and all that sort of stuff, or the extra beer. It's just that there's something that has done to my mind frame that if I don't do it, I feel guilty of myself because I enjoy it so much. Like I genuinely enjoy it. And I'll tell you this quick story. I actually, when I met you, Tim, I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but I actually met you at the Greenway Park Run when you guys are up for the national conference, I think.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Yeah. And I remember I met this, and I can't remember her name, and I feel terrible. I met one of the volunteers, and I think she works in Sydney. She's seemed to be quite high up or something. She was at the Willoughby. She was maybe in charge of the Willoughby Park Run. Is it Karen? I can't remember. I wish I could.
Carol? You're talking about Carol?
Carol. I met Carol. Yes. Now, anyway, I said to her, I know, she said, have you ever volunteered? And I was like, do you know what? No, I haven't. I'm like, I feel really bad that I haven't, but I'm also like, I don't want to miss out on scanning my barcode. Like it's my thing on a Saturday. And she's like, why don't you do a tail runner? And I was like, what's a tail runner? And she's like, well, you basically just walk it and be the last runner, and you still get to scan your barcode at the end. And I was like, oh, what a great idea. Like, because you know what I mean? I was becoming selfish for myself because I believe you've got to give back, and this is what the volunteering thing, why it's so important. But I didn't want to miss out on my Saturday morning run. Do you know what I mean? So, so Carol told me about that. 2-3 weeks ago, got bitten by a spider on my elbow and has been on some antibiotics and all sorts of stuff and been told not to run by the doctors. And I thought, well, here we go. We wanted to do a bit of tail running, so that's what I did. So I did the St. Peter's park run as the park runner in a sling. Had an absolute ball. And for anyone who hasn't volunteered, I'm telling you, go and do it, because I felt like Lady Gaga. And I know that might sound weird, but it's so cool. Everyone's so positive. Everyone's like, thanks, tail runner. Thanks, volunteers. It's a pretty good feeling. Like it's equal as running, you know what I mean, or getting a PB, I reckon.
It's definitely for the rock stars, that's for sure.
Yeah, totally. It was a really awesome experience. So thank you, Carol, for suggesting it. Thank you for Parkrun providing it. And thank you for St. Peter's Parkrun, who I sent a message on Facebook. I'm like, I know I have to register on the website, but I just need to get the message straight away. I need to be a tail runner this weekend. And someone got back to me. So shout out to the St. Peter's guys.
I'm sure they will love to hear that. Now, Pete, it has been a fairly condensed period since you returned to park running in April, but you've managed to get quite a few adventures in that time, trips to different events. Have you got any highlights from that? How have you managed to do that? Is it part of a work thing or are you just traveling around?
Yeah. So I do a bit of traveling for work, and I've sort of got friends in a few different states and stuff. So a few weddings and things have been on, and bits and pieces. So I really, really enjoyed the Adelaide. I think it's the Torrens one that runs past the zoo there. That was a really, really good one. I just enjoyed that. Like I was flying up there for a wedding or something. I had the wedding that afternoon, and I was like, got to get a park run because that's kind of what's changed me as well. Now I'm going, I've got to go here. Oh, okay, cool. What's the local park run? Like, let's work that out. And I really enjoyed that. And on the weekend, I flew to Melbourne for the radio awards. And I put up on my Instagram that I'll be running at the Albert Park one. So I had a few Melbourne friends touch base, and a few of my aunties and uncles who came down as well. So we ran with a few other radio people, and funnily enough, those three aunties that I was telling you about before, Philippa, Jacinta, and Philippa. Oh my god, I can't remember my auntie's name. Philippa, Jacinta, and Bridgie. On the weekend as well. I thought the Albert Park one was great because you get to see all the rowers as well. They're rowing. All the trainings going on for there. So there's like 18 megaphones as you're running around at someone yelling at people in rowing while we're being while we're all doing the park run, which is really, really great.
Pete, it sounds like you are having a ball at parkrun, and we love to hear that, mate. So, I just want to echo Mel's sentiments. Your description of what parkrun means to you and is doing for you was so beautifully put before. So, I think our listeners will really love that. We're going to wrap up now, mate, but before we do, I just want to congratulate you because you mentioned you're at the Radio Awards, and your show, you guys actually won the Best On-Air Team at the Australian Commercial Radio Awards on Saturday night. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, no, it was a really great night. We had an absolute ball. So I had a few little sore legs before going up because I tried to have a crack at a nice little time with parkrun beforehand at the Albert Park. But yeah, no, it was a great weekend. So no, thank you for that. And I'll definitely have to update you guys. I've got some very exciting parkruns coming up over the summer break, actually. So I'll update you guys at some stage. But I'm heading off to do what I'm locked in for, a parkrun in Moscow.
Oh, wow.
So in Russia. So excited about that. And it all came down to, hey, we could get these cheap flights. I'm like, yeah, but that's not going to land in time for parkrun on the Saturday morning. So we had to, that's my love for parkrun at the moment. And if I could say to anyone who's listening to this, I just feel like if you've got a mate or a family member who's even just like, yeah, they just need something to do. There's something a little bit of like, going back to that mental health side of things as well. Who like, you know what, this would actually be really good for them. I just mean, yell out to them, bring them along at some stage, and bring a mate along to parkrun or 10 mates. Recruit, you know what I mean? It's great fun. It's for everyone.
Never were truer words spoken, Pete. So look, Peter Depler, aka Intern Pete, thanks for coming on the Parkrun Adventurers podcast, and we look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Well, we don't have any roving reports this week. Everybody's been slacking off in the field. Hopefully next week, we've got a huge swag of anniversaries and a launch this week, so hopefully we get something next week from you guys out there. But where are we launching this week, Tim?
Well, this is exciting, Mel, because we are launching Burke Racecourse Parkrun. And yes, that is in Burke, as in the saying, the back of Burke. So I think this is going to become a must-do on the adventurers' checklist. What do you think?
Possibly. It's certainly one of those famous sort of road trip detours that people go to in New South Wales. So yeah,
there could be my thoughts on the clubs, but we can make a new club here. This could be the Sayings Club.
The Sayings Club.
If it's the Sayings Club. If it's a location that is renowned for being part of a famous saying, the back of Burke. Maybe it's a club with only one at the moment, but
I'm sure there are other parkruns out there that will put their hands up and go, yes, like Bega or Robe, I'm sure they've got famous sayings about them.
On the road to Gundagai? Yeah. We don't have a Gundagai.
We've got a Gundy parkrun.
No, we've got Gundawindi. We don't have Gundagai. Is Gundagai
they're both called Gundy though. Oh, no. We had a Gundagai. Use your words, Melissa. We had a Gundagai prospect at one point.
Did we? Well, Along the road to Gundagai, Slim Dusty. I'm just looking at it now. Okay, if anyone from Gundagai is listening, start a park run.
And I'm sure you'll have everybody's brains ticking over with the Sayings Club as well.
Where have we got anniversaries? Where's the cake happening this week? No?
Well, let's kick off with Bunbury in WA.
Been there? You done it?
Yeah, I was there the same week you were there. You don't remember?
There we go. I don't know. It's all a blur. Cloncurry in Queensland. You done that one?
I haven't done that one, but it's top of my list because I want to head to Cloncurry and Mount Isa because I grew up there. So fond memories of the curry.
That could be the food club. It's got curry in the title. Start another club. Sorry.
You're on a roll here.
I'm off track. Anyway, Cloncurry, happy anniversary.
Cloncurry, yes. Then we've got Darwin in the Northern Territory.
Been there. You done that one?
Yes, been there, done that.
Same time as me?
No, not that time.
Don't think so. Then we are our friends at Highfields in Toowoomba are having their anniversary.
Have you done that one?
I haven't. No, I've only done there's a few up in Toowoomba now, and I've only done the original, which is Toowoomba.
Okay, well you'll have to head back that way. Then we got Kangaroo Island in South Australia. This one is high on my list. I'm still trying to convince Adam that should be my birthday parkrun trip next year.
That would be awesome, and of course there could be the Animal Club right there. So,
yes, I don't know how many Animal Club members we might have. That might be the only one.
Now, this next one on our list, I think it's one that you and I, but particularly you, are familiar with. Kawana.
Yeah, you've been to Kawana a few times, I think, like maybe even 3 times.
I was. Were you at the launch? I can't remember. Were you there?
I was not at the launch. No, I didn't meet you. Actually, the first time I met you was at the first anniversary of Kawana. So 5 years ago this weekend is the anniversary of when we met.
Oh my word! Can I tell my Kawana launch story? Do we have time?
Yeah, please do.
So in the good old days or bad old days, depending on how you would consider it, let's call it the early days of parkrun in Australia, we there was no such thing as trial events or training. The volunteers never got trained. I just pitched up on the Saturday morning in a new town or wherever. I had all the gear, and I basically showed everyone how to do it. I was like, right, here's the stopwatch, this is how it works, here's the scanner, this is how it works. The only thing that sort of needed to be sorted in advance was that the event director knew the course, like where the course was going to be. So Kawana Parkrun launch, I roll on up and met Kelly Daly, and we love Kelly, and Kelly's about to have her first bubba. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I turn up and I said to Kelly, so where's the start line? And she goes, yeah, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, well, we could just do it over here. And I said, okay. So I said, let me ask you another question. Where do we have to get get our 5K? And she's like, yeah, it could be. Yeah, look, I think let's just start here, shall we? And I was like, okay. And so we basically stuck some flags in the ground, and we were like, all right, let's hope that this is 5K. Google Maps was telling us it was roughly 5K. And with Kawana, obviously, you've got a fixed endpoint. It's the lighthouse. You run around the lighthouse. So is that still the case? Do we still run around the lighthouse?
That's our turnaround point, yes.
Exactly. So it's got to be, up there with the most scenic turnaround points in all of the parkrun world, out looking across the Sunshine Coast. So anyway, so long story short, Kawana Parkrun starts. Event 1, we stick some flags in the ground. Everyone goes out, runs around the lighthouse, gets back to where what was the finish line, and I think it was about 4.7K. So we had to, I can't remember whether we made people run.
It was 5.5.
Oh, 5.5 was it? I knew it was something.
Yeah.
5.5.
We actually have to walk 500 metres to the start line as a group.
That's it.
Because they all got bonus distance on event number 1.
That's it. I knew it was something like that. So it was one of the great stories of the early days of parkrun and the way we used to do things versus the way that we do things now, which are much more precise. And look, just to be clear, that's not having a dig at Kelly at all. That was really a dig at myself because, in those early days, we just had no had no systems, where we were just winging it, and you know it all worked out in the end. So
and look,
yeah.
yes, everybody came back the next week. Well, the majority of them came back the next week, and
that's it. And they probably all got PBs, I'd imagine.
Yes, they absolutely would have if they were there on week 1. Yes,
awesome. Well, look,
and now we're having our 6th anniversary this weekend.
There you go. Well, something's
gone
working.
fast.
So well done. So well done. Happy anniversary, Kawana. So what's next?
But we've got more. We've got Mudgeeraba in Queensland.
Yep, done that one. Love Mudgeeraba Parkrun. We have Orange in New South Wales, and another one for the food club.
Do we have a food club?
Well, we do now. You've
just created a food club.
I've created the food club. It's a new club within the Parkrun clubs.
We're only halfway through the anniversaries, and you've already created 3 clubs along the way.
3 clubs, and one of the clubs now has 2 members.
We've got Port Mac in New South Wales as well.
And we have Railton in Tasmania.
Yeah, Railton was our 250th event. We recently had a roving report from down that way, which was very cool. And then we've got Shelley in WA.
And last but not least, another event that we know quite well, I'm sure, on this show, which is Westerfolds Parkrun, as started by the former co-host of the Parkrun Adventurers, Scott Trickett.
Serious Scott, as we like to call him.
Serious Scott. I informed him yesterday that he's lost his job because you and I just, are nailing it. So thanks for all you've done, Scott.
How did he take the news?
Well, when I told him that he'd lost his job, I think at first he thought I meant his real job. His real job was Parkrun. And then I said, no, just talking about your gig with the Adventurers. So yeah, look, he wasn't happy. So maybe I'll have to let him come back next week. What do you think?
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But yes, happy anniversary to all those events. It's a big weekend for anniversaries. There may be cake, there may be donuts. Who knows? You can just try your luck. But shall we go to the hotline?
Let's.
Hotline.
Dorothy Dix would like to know, if you were a snack, what kind of snack would you be?
Well, Dorothy, that is one of the more random of the questions that we've ever had on the hotline, I think. If we were a snack, what kind of snack would we be? I think this is a very existential kind of question, because people say you are what you eat. So maybe I should consider the kind of snacks that I usually have. I don't know. I don't think I'd be a salty snack, and I don't think I'd be crunchy. I'm pretty sure I would be something sweet, possibly chocolate, but that might just be informed by my current hankering for chocolate. It's like, I could really go a snack right now. Chocolate. I don't know. What about you, Tim?
Well, for me, it's easy, and it's like you say, you are what you eat. And my snack of choice is nuts, and I think people that know me well would agree I am a bit nuts. So I'm going to go with nuts. It's easy.
And any nuts in particular?
Well, my preference for my nuts is my local Coles has the little nut self-serve area.
The dispenser thing.
Yeah, the self-serve.
Yep.
And so from memory, I think it's called the Premium Natural Mix or something like that. So it's not the roasted, it's not the salted, it's just the natural nuts. And when they say premium, that means they put the fancy ones in there. So you've got your Brazil nuts and your macadamias. But
I was going to ask if you're a bit of a Brazil nut.
Well, I mean, they're the go-tos, the Brazil and the macadamias. But what happens is, I know Coles, they're a bit sneaky because they load it up with like the cheap nuts anyway. So you've got your almonds and your the cashews, they're probably not the cheap nuts. But anyway, you never get a high percentage of the expensive nuts in the expensive nut selection. So just saying. So if anyone out there is at Coles, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? The way that you
do you ever grab out the container and just like shake it up so that all the little ones haven't gone to the bottom and you get a good mix?
Look, I don't know if I can say this on air, but I'm going to say it. People might think poorly of me, but what I'll often do I'll often just get a little scoop of the macadamias and just add it in to my bag. And then you just mix.
Well, there are macadamias in there, I'm assuming, as well. You're just increasing the proportion.
I sort of view it as a bit of a Robin Hood kind of rob from the rich and give to the poor kind of scenario. The poor being me, and the rich being the supermarkets. And yeah, as you say, they're already in there. So really, I mean, come on, it's I'm sure it's probably not even a crime, really. But yeah, no, it does just balance up. I bet some of the listeners do the same thing. You let us know on Facebook. Do you add the expensive nuts into the cheap nut packet and then just weigh it as the cheap nuts? Do you do that? I bet I'm not alone.
It's a new poll question. Scotty likes to do the polls with random things like
Little
this.
Poll.
Love it. Tim Oberg's nut hacks. You heard it here first on the Parkrun Adventurers.
Oh, my word. We deal with the big topics here. There's no doubt about it.
We do. And when you have quality questions like this one from Dorothy Dix, this is where the tangents go. Now, speaking of tangents, last week we had a bit of a chat about barcodes and where people keep their spares, etc. Scotty got a bit disgusted by those who might keep them under the sole of their shoes.
No, people don't do that, do they?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, they do.
You mean inside the shoe?
Well, the insole. You lift the insole up and you slide a spare barcode under there, laminated preferably, so it doesn't disintegrate. Because apparently, Scotty, who doesn't sweats through his feet, and that would just be gross.
Imagine how warm it'd be in there, like during the run, like the friction and the juices. There'd be like juice in there.
Preferable.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's foot juice. That's better than other kinds of juice. Some people keep them in their undies.
Yeah, well, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not.
We have wristbands, people. Buy them. It supports us as well.
We do, and we talked about the fact that I'm now in the market for another wristband. And I mentioned those people, inverted commas, who wear two. And we have at least one self-confessed who realised that they do it, and his name is Tok. He's one of our roving reporters. Perhaps that's why we don't have a roving report from Tok this week. But Will Barlow also weighed in and said he wears two, but they're not both for him. One of them's actually for his daughter, and I'm assuming he's referring to April, because the wristbands only come in certain sizes, and the smallest is still a bit too big for her little wrists. So I think that's really quite sweet that he wears two, and one of them's hers.
Yeah, but you know what, Will? I've encountered that problem as well. And what you do for the little bit, it becomes an anklet. You put it on the little people's ankle before they put their shoe on. That's the go-to. You don't carry two yourself, Will. That weighs you down, mate. That's an extra. That's an extra 50 grams or something that you're carrying around. You go. It stays on the ankle until it becomes the wrist gets big enough. So yeah, put it on the ankle. Done.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess Will often pushes his other daughter in the pram, so he's already got some weight to be dealing with. As you were discussing weight.
I was going to say let's not talk about Will Barlow pushing a single pram. You're not pushing weight until you're doing a double pram, Will. So come on, mate.
Well, I'm not sure. He might have used to do the double pram until April started running.
And he carries a camera. He carries a camera most of the time too. So as we know as well.
No, he's pretty quick. He took on Shell Harbour with that pram, and Shell Harbour's got a big section of beach.
That is full on.
So that is full on. Kudos. But speaking of which, babies at parkrun. My goodness, there are babies everywhere at parkrun at the moment.
There are. So we were talking about babies in prams, but there's actually brand new babies galore. And I want to send a big shout out across the ditch to our friend Caitlin Desharmoy. Now, many listeners won't know Caitlin, but Caitlin's mum and dad, Noel and Leanne, are the country managers of Parkrun New Zealand. No, they are actually some of Paul Sinton Hewitt's oldest friends. Noel and Leanne and Paul used to all run together in Johannesburg many, many, many years ago when they used to do time trials in Joburg, which was the inspiration for Parkrun many years later when Paul was living in the UK. So a lot of history between that family and the Sinton Hewitts, or the Sinton Hewitt himself. But yeah, their daughter Caitlin, who is a run director at Cornwall Park in Auckland, and she also does a lot of the social media and the newsletter for Parkrun New Zealand, has had twins during the week.
So
Wow.
they are very, very busy over there. So they're twinning.
All their arms are full, I
That's it. They're
imagine.
twinning it up. But this got us thinking, didn't it, Mel? I wonder if I bet there's been lots of babies born this week. Look, there always are. I'm sure we've just got the amount of people in parkrun in Australia now. There'd be babies galore every week. But I'm wondering, have there been any twins? Or have there been any triplets? Are there any parkrun triplets that have come into the world even this year? Tell us. We want to know. Parkrun triplets, parkrun twins, parkrun babies. Let us know. Give us a shout out on social media. We love babies. We love kids in parkrun and certainly on the parkrun adventurers. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I can't even fathom. I know that there was a woman who just set the Guinness World Record for the marathon distance, pushing her 4 children in 2 double prams. She did it in just over 2 hours. Absolutely insane. I don't know how. Like, I struggle with the one pram.
Hang on. Hold it right there. You said a woman pushed 2 prams.
Yes.
How do you push 2?
2 prams, 1 pram on each hand. And these are not small prams, and her kids are not small. She's got 4 of them, so by the time you get your 4th one, they're not all twins and triplets. The other ones are quite grown.
And what distance? Did you say marathon?
No, half marathon in 2 hours, but in 2 hours with 4 children in 2 prams.
Oh, my word.
So it was a Guinness World Record. I don't know if it was any kind of other sort of official world record.
She must have had the 2 double prams modified to almost essentially be like attached to each other so that it was like a 4-pronger. It was bloody
wide. I reckon if you were also running, she must have like little bells or horns or something to tell people to get out of her way, because she takes up the the width of a car on the road pretty much. Insane. I don't know how people manage with twins, let alone triplets. Do they have prams that go 3 abreast, or do they go? Are they tandem prams when they get to those multis?
Oh, I've seen them. I know. The triple prams do exist. They're rare. I have seen the odd one, and I don't think. Do they go 3 wide, or do they have like a sort of 3 on top of each other, kind of like the one in the normal pram seat, then one sort of on the top, and then one in the sort of pouch at the back? I'm not sure. So I've never had to look at the triple pram. Jack was old enough to not be in the double when Archie came along. So but they do exist. But that's good going. 4 people, 4 kids, half marathon, 2 hours. That's like the breaking 2, except breaking 2 for the half with 4 kids. So that's a different sort of challenge. So yeah, good.
Exactly. That's the one that Nike should be doing.
Yeah, exactly. No, this would be sponsored by Bob. Bob running pram. Bob breaking 2.
There we go. We should totally pitch that to Bob. That would be hilarious. And get some of our twinning parkrun babies out there if we have any.
Oh, yeah. Now, listen, we mentioned earlier Kelly Daly, Kiwana Parkrun. She's due. When is she due? A couple of weeks?
She's due in December to have her first bub. So she is still actively run directing at Kiwana at the moment. She was quite happy to run direct up until the 8th of December, which I understand is quite close to the due date. And I said, look, I've been there. I've had to call my fellow co-ED and ask him to come collect the kit from the hospital while I was in labour, because I was supposed to run direct that morning and it wasn't going to happen. I said, let's not do that. How about we let you finish up a few weeks before that, just to be sure. So end of November is going to be her last run directing stint, but she's doing an amazing job still, even with the baby brain that I'm sure must have set in, because it always does.
Good job, Kelly. One of my mates up here at Early Beach, Rihanna Ronsky, and her husband Adrian, they've just had a little baby boy. And Rihanna was at Early Beach Parkrun when she was 40 plus 2. I think she was tail walking actually, and I said to her, I don't want to see you here next week, and I didn't. So she didn't get to Parkrun Day on 40 plus 9, thankfully. So she had her little boy. I think Harry, they've called him, that she had Harry during the week.
Can you imagine a parkrun baby, like a proper born on the course parkrun baby?
Has it happened? I know it hasn't happened in Australia. Has it happened anywhere? Baby born on the course, or at least labour? Have we had labour on the course?
I've got no idea. Not that I'm aware of. I've never heard of it. But, 14 years, it's been a long time. Got a lot of pregnant women out on those courses.
Yeah, imagine it. Baby born at parkrun on the course. I mean, that's its own milestone club, really. It's a milestone club. We'd have to create a new one for that one. Jeez,
there would have to be infinite
clubs everywhere.
milestone shirts.
Born at parkrun. Oh, man, that would be hilarious. So
that would be hilarious.
Anyway, babies everywhere. But as we said, let us know. We want to know triplets, twins, babies. Let us know what's going on. Send photos. We love it.
Yes, absolutely. So where are you headed this week, Tim, for parkrun on Saturday? Anywhere exciting?
Well, I will be... Well, it's always exciting to go to Airlie Beach Parkrun. We have a great mix of this core group of people that are there every week. I reckon there's probably about 30 that are there every week, and then we have 30 to 40 who just float in and out, and then there's probably always about 20 to 30 tourists, because Airlie Beach being a big tourist spot. Yeah, there's heaps of tourists. It's so cool and really always a great kind of vibe. But it's obviously, it's those 30 that are there every week, they become your friends, and they're the ones that I love catching up with. And you always see them around the shops and, on the road and school pickups and drop-offs. These are all the people that become part of your day-to-day, which is awesome. So I'll be at Airlie Beach, and we've actually got Pace a Week. I think it's probably only about the third time we've ever done Pace a Week up here in Airlie Beach. And I am 30-minute pacer, but I will be running with the double pram. So the double pram pacer. So I'm really looking forward to that. I love pacing.
So poor Jack is going to have to slow down this week.
Well, that's it. Well, he can run with his mum. So that's all good. I will be on the 30 minutes, unless of course I start off and it ends up that no one wants to run 30 minutes and I'm running on my own. Then I'll just do whatever. But I think that's unlikely. I think for a lot of people, 30-minute will be a bit of a time that a good target, exactly. So I'll be the 30-minute pacer at Airlie Beach Parkrun this weekend. If anyone wants to break 30 minutes, come up to Airlie Beach. We'll see you there. It's a short flight for many of you. So run 30 minutes with Tim. It'd be great. And what about you, Mel? You're well, I know where you're going to be. You're going to be at Kiwana for the anniversary.
We're anniversary.
Of course you do.
We are. We've got a spooky theme this year. So, well, no, not necessarily, of course. It's just very close to Halloween. And you know what? For the last several years, I've just dressed up in a spooky outfit anyway, just because I like to and not because we've had a theme. So I will be on the tools. I am timekeeping to make sure that everything goes according to plan. And
on the app?
Oh, yeah. We've been app only since our stopwatch died several months ago, and it's amazing and we love it.
Good job.
Yeah. Everybody has embraced it wholeheartedly, and all my run directors are like, "Oh, this is amazing!" So
yeah, got to do it. As for any of our event teams listening, all the junior parkrun events are app only, and it's so smooth, so easy. No cords, we like that. No cables, no cords, app only. It's the way forward.
We are wire free.
That's it. Well, that sounds awesome, Mel. Be a great weekend for you. Kudos to yourself for giving so much to that event over the years. So I'm sure you're going to have a great time.
We will. And it's always been my pleasure. Thank you for joining me as co-host on the Parkrun Adventurers this week, Tim. It's been fun having you.
It's been fun. It's been a great experience. And, like the fact that you and Scotty have done this week in, week out for 100 and how many weeks did we say? 100 and...
Well, this week's 130. Well, this is episode 135, but it's actually only our 134th episode because we skipped one.
Aha, yeah, there you go. But I mean,
that was having a bit of bad luck at episode 113, so we're saving that for later.
Oh, very good. Yeah, but as I was saying, it's a huge commitment, and good on you guys, and I'm sure the regular listeners appreciate it. And I know when I was out with Scotty the other week at the ponds, lots of people wanting to come up and talk to him about the podcast. So it's a credit to you guys for all the work that you do. And but look, I'll be happy to be back. Scotty will be back next week. All jokes aside, Scott will be back next week, but I'll certainly be happy to come and guest host anytime. You guys just let me know when you need a break.
Awesome.